Hey, this is Mike with Third Space Arcade Lounge. I'm here with Sara Laiuppa, our Artist of the Month, first one for 2025. Welcome, Sara. I want you to tell us how you got started.
So I've always been an art kid, and my passion for art has just evolved over time, as has my art style. I love experimenting with different processes, materials, and mediums. There's not much that I don't like to create. Currently, my main focuses are working with doing a lot of fantasy art as figure drawing, and I also have a small fun series of ducks.
Sara, how would you describe your art style?
That's a really good question. Besides, of course, changing. I, God, I have to think about this one actually for a second. Give me like a quick, because it depends on the day, honestly, for my art style. Um, and some days I like to be very academic in my approach. Other days I want to be very loose and expressive. And I think there's a place in an artist's practice for both. It's a matter of balancing the two to find your style. Right now, I've been trying to do more that is perhaps academic leaning because I want to improve my portfolio for submitting to places that are like trading card companies such as Wizards of the Coast and other like people who operate trading card games.
Sara, what would you say are some of the inspirations that you've had coming up in your journey as an artist?
So I've had a multitude of inspirations, as I just mentioned. Trading card games like Magic the Gathering are huge inspirations of mine. Anything that's fantasy related, I'm just absolutely in love with. Um, Another huge thing that is a passion of mine is figure drawing. I just love drawing people. I think it's amazing how our personalities and like life experiences and circumstances can just play out in certain things like our posture, how our wear our clothes, all these like small details about ourselves. And it's just fascinating to try and capture somebody's essence within an art piece and make it something beyond just drawing what's in front of you.
I like that. As far as other people, are there any other artists that you've seen that you were just like, hey, I can do this, or I like what they did, I can put my twist on it too? Or maybe even looking at someone's art style and feeling like you had permission to do something because it's like that person took a risk on the way they did their art. It might be a little unconventional, or it might be very just true to that person. Is there anybody in particular that you can think of that you might have seen, famous or not famous, that kind of gave you that?
So there's a ton of artists that I'm inspired by. One of my probably more well-known inspirations would be an all-time favorite, Frank Frazetta. He's well-known in fantasy, and it's just his work I find inspiring because he portrays women in a very powerful way, and also in a very realistic way. None of the women in his stories are portrayed as weak. And when I say stories, I mean his art pieces. Each art piece is trying to convey a narrative and whatnot. And he was, an illustrator. So obviously these pieces were stories. A picture is worth 1,000 words. His work has always inspired me since I was a kid. Kind of cool little side story. My dad was a house painter, and he actually got to paint Frank Frazzetta's granddaughter's house. And so it was really cool getting to see inside the family home and just, some of the work that's up. And just, it's amazing. And I've always had like an obsession with his work since then.
Where would we be able to find his work, or where would we recognize his work from?
Conan the Barbarian, definitely you'd recognize his work from. I want to get like accurate on the year. Frank Frazetta was born February 9th, 1928, and he died May 10th, 2010, Fort Myers, Florida. And yeah, there is the Frank Frazetta Museum. Oh yeah, 141 Museum Road, East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, not North Carolina.
All right, we'll tap in with Frank when we're in South Carolina next time. So I remember meeting you at Andres Game On Art Night last year that we had at Third Space. Shout out to Andres. And I remember you gave us buttons with your ducks, and I was just like, these are cute. And then I saw a couple more of your pieces, and there were some more ducks, and I'm like, okay, well, this is clearly a thing. So what's up with the ducks?
So the ducks are just really cute. They bring joy. They're inspired by a collection of ducks that I inherited. One of the offices I work in, there's a collection of ducks that a supervisor wanted kind of tossed. They saw them as clutter, but I was just like, oh man, I've worked here for so long, like 5+ years. And I was like, I'm kind of attached to these ducks now. I've seen them all the time. I feel bad just throwing 20 rubber ducks in the trash. Um, so yeah, that's how the rubber ducks came to be. Just small joys in life. There's also, the whole like Jeep thing with rubber ducks, and I believe that movement was also started just to kind of spread joy, and find the small joys in life.
Their space is all about finding the small joys in life, so definitely appreciate that. And now you guys know the story behind the ducks. It wasn't that fanciful. It was very straightforward. I just like some ducks. I thought that you might have had a backstory, like you got saved as a kid by some ducks from a pond you might have been drowning in. And it's like I've always had an affinity for ducks because, and it's just like somebody gave me some ducks. I'm like, I like it.
Yeah.
Sara, where you're from, has that influenced at all the type of artist that you've become?
Of course it has. While I haven't necessarily been geographically influenced by where I've come from, I have been influenced by where I came from, an emotional, social background wise. And through my art, it's always been a symbol of trying to overcome the just, quite frankly, bullshit that I've dealt with. And my art's always been my safe haven to go to.
All right, Sara, I'm going to hit you with the guidance counselor special. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, what are your short-term goals for 2025 and long-term goals for the future?
So my short-term goals for 2025 are to mainly continue doing things with my art, evolve the art shows I'm doing, continue to do more vendor fairs. This upcoming month, I will have, besides having my work here at Third Space, I'll also have my work at Workspace for their Blank Canvas show. That's out in Manchester, if you happen to be that way. Additionally, I'll be going to MagicCon, which I'm really excited about that because I'll be accomplishing a goal of mine, which is to get my portfolio reviewed by an artist or another artist, and it'll be somebody who's worked for Wizards.
Sara, what do you have next coming up?
Next coming up, I'm going to be continue working on my art. I'll be going to MagicCon in Chicago just to show my art to another one of the Wizards artists that they have there. And maybe I'll get some valuable portfolio tips to grow my own art so that I one day can work for Wizards as well.
You've mentioned them a few times. For everyone who's not familiar, who are or what are the Wizards?
The Wizards. So Wizards is just short for Wizards of the Coast. They happen to handle Magic Gathering IP, which is, one of my personal passions. I love playing Magic the Gathering. And as I've said in this interview, Magic is one of my art inspirations. And I've since always being inspired by their art.
Sara, where can folks find you and your work?
If you want to keep up to date with where I'm at and my art, you can subscribe to my newsletter on my website, saralaiuppa.com, SARAHLAIUPPA. There's a section in my About page to enter your email. You can also just follow me on Instagram or on my Facebook page, Sara Laiuppa Art.
Sara, thank you so much for your time and your talent. We appreciate you and super honored to have you as our Artist of the Month for January. And we hope to have you again.
Thank you for hosting my art. You guys are phenomenal. It's been excellent to be a part of this.
Yes.